The Red Barn Preservation Project was a joint effort with the National Park Service and California State University Chico Concrete Industry Management Program.
This fall we were able to work again with the National Park Service to further our relationship. We took on another rehabilitation project. The Red Barn is located in Tennessee Valley at the Miwok Library Stables. It is an early 1900s dairy farm that we were rehabilitating a structure.
It was an all-volunteer project with students from Chico State working side by side with community volunteers from the Bay Area region that uses the barn as part of the Miwok Stables. It resulted in more interest on the part of the students for working with the Park Service on this or other projects, brought several faculty from Texas A&M University interested in starting similar cooperative efforts in their state.
I'm an assistant professor at the Department of Construction Science at Texas A&M, and so this is a good opportunity for me to see how volunteers and then students interact with each other, and it's an exciting time, and I feel like seeing these students work together is something that hopefully I can replicate later on at Texas A&M.
And of course the National Park Service was heavily involved in the project. Jason Hagan, a historical architect from the Golden Gate National Recreation Area, was a huge help with the logistical side of things. Being from the National Park Service, he knew if there was anything we needed, he knew where to go or who to ask.
Jason Hagan, he was real helpful. He just didn't like tell us what we were doing wrong and yell at us or anything. Just like, hey, let me show you a trick or two. And he showed us the proper way of doing things, and he really knew his stuff. Like at the same time we were working, but he was telling us the history of things.
This is the Miwok Stables. This is the Red Barn. It's the Lopez house barn, and that's the Lopez house there. And we are going to stabilize it. How?
Well, I think the first step is shoring, and so I've recommended that we work probably with a house mover or someone with that skill set.
Patrick Sparks from Sparks Engineering in Texas was able to come out and do our initial assessment of the building, as well as helping plan out the redesign.
As the structural engineer, he works on a lot of historic buildings, so this is sort of a second nature thing for him to get involved in. Couldn't have done this project without him. You need that safety factor of an engineer on site.
You know, this is so great to see because the house movers know exactly what to do, you know, to come in. The structural mover knows exactly, you know, to put the beams in and shore it up. And that was the key. That's the key to saving any building of this type that's structurally damaged, is to get the right shoring.
Originally the plan was to repair the barn in a way so that it would last a little bit longer. After our initial assessment, we realized how structurally damaged the barn was and decided to go through with more of a full rehabilitation. We started by removing the first floor and replacing it with a new footing and pier system underneath the subfloor with all new joists and new planked wood flooring. We then moved on to the exterior walls. We replaced a lot of the studs for the balloon framing, and those that didn't need full replacement were sistered to add support. We then moved on to the second floor, replacing or sistering all of the joists for the second floor and redoing all of the actual flooring. We also were able to replace a lot of the siding, keeping what we could, but the majority of it had been rotted out throughout the years, so we ended up replacing it with new redwood siding. And the barn will be painted with material from Tamalpais paint, matching the original red exterior.
We chose among these treatments, which are preservation, rehabilitation, restoration, and reconstruction. So what do you think we're doing here?
Stephen Haller came out and described to the students really what they were working on. Is it a restoration? Is it a rehabilitation? Is it new construction? What is it within the realm of historic preservation? He is an expert in that field, and to have him personally come out and spend part of the day describing that to the students really helped them see from a philosophical standpoint why they were saving pieces of the building that you might otherwise discard.
Rehabilitation is what you find is a compatible contemporary use for the building by making repairs or alterations that are sensitive and don't alter the integrity of other things. So that's what we're trying to do here.
So this is a new thing that we're trying to develop, are these specific volunteer projects while we continue the ongoing more substantial field school on Alcatraz.
The goal at the end is to make this a place where people can come and enjoy and come through and see a piece of history in the Marin Headlands here. And as a learning opportunity, it's something that I've never done before, but I'm sure that we'll come through and that we're going to do a great project.
It was really cool to see how the seniors, to see how they ran the project and how much work goes into it.
And then where we were working at was so nice because we had the horses around. We, on our breaks, we go around and look at the horses and feed them, and I thought that was real cool. But I like to work, so I think that was hands-on, like all coming together was perfect.
A project like this, Tanya was saying that it gets us in the door for other projects, and I think that'd be good for me because I'm going to be here for a while to get those opportunities to get more projects like this.
To see a student come in that early in their education and get that involved in something that will reinforce everything they're going to do for the next 4 years at Chico, it's really unparalleled in the experience for a faculty member at a university. Major industry support and sponsorship is what makes a large-scale volunteer project like this work.
All of our materials came from Mill Valley Lumber, which is a local supplier and possibly the original supplier for the barn.
But we're going to catch the second story floor, and then the weight transfer from the floor joist will transfer.
Trust House Movie. They came out and assessed the building and were so taken by the whole idea of this volunteer project. They volunteered all of their time and materials to do the house lifting, straightening, and then putting it back down once the work was completed. And then there's Scott Burkhart, who was a graduate of the construction program at Chico, came out and volunteered a lot of his own time with the students to make sure from a construction standpoint that this project was run efficiently.
Like anything, I mean, remember we're trying to keep all this as original as possible. The slower we go, the better it's going to be. So we'll let you practice on the sister boards because it's going to be like this. And that way we have a nice flat surface we can nail behind. It's definitely not something to be scared of. We just have to be slow and methodical about it.
He donated an immense amount of his time to come down and help with the carpentry of the project. And being a local contractor, he had all of the carpentry skills needed. And we were actually able to have Zach, our media guy, kind of set down the camera for a while and get his hands dirty. After the project, he was fluent with nail guns, hammers, saws, and pretty much anything we gave him. So that was a great help as well.
I got to really be a part of what was going on in front of the camera as well. I got to pick up material and carry it. I also got to understand a little bit more about what was being done on the project. That will help me on a professional level to move forward and use this as more of a reference for a career.
And then we move into Shamrock Materials, volunteering and bringing out the concrete. The volunteers in the local area, Triage Consulting Group, who really is a group that has nothing to do with construction, but has a commitment to volunteerism in the local community, sent 2 big groups of their employees out to spend the day with us.
The Triage Consulting Group have a program called VTO, Volunteer Time Off, where each year every employee gets 16 hours to give back to the community. But this was a nice learning opportunity for us to come out to Tennessee Valley, to actually roll up our sleeves, and so it was great.
Our friends at Texas A&M and the Center for Heritage Conservation were able to come out and do 3D laser scanning of the project as well.
One of the things about the barn laser scanning, in order to get a scan of the open side of the barn where most of it had deteriorated, we had to tilt the scanner sideways, so normally it's like this and it rotates, but we tilted it sideways so that way it would tilt like this and scan the front portion of that barn. So just learning how to do that and learning the different aspects of a scanner and how you can use it was very cool, and it was very nice to learn.
Documenting things in 3D may often be helpful to understand what, for example, the south side of the building prior to repair. So we can always go back to a base record of what was there before and then how the repair worked later on. So it's always fun to get outside and to document buildings.
In the end, there were really 2 great results of the Red Barn rehabilitation project. First, the building that sat vacant for so long is now back in service for the Park Service. And secondly, it's the experience for the Concrete Industry Management Program students from Chico, who Several of them, within a few weeks of enrolling at Chico State as a college student, found themselves elbow to elbow with seniors and industry people and park service people, placing concrete and building a wood structure. That really reinforced that hands-on experience that they will get for the rest of their career at Chico State.
The cool experience to see the condition the barn was in, and then seeing pictures after. I wasn't there, but I saw pictures. It was good to see the before and after. I think that's what it's about, seeing the whole thing come together and what you can do with your skills.
I thought it was great when I first got there. Everybody, since I was new, I didn't know a lot of people, and by the end of the day, the end of the time, I met everybody. I knew everybody. Everybody's open. It was cool to actually get out and do some work, and like I'm fresh in the major, so I'm out doing it, and they trust me doing it. They wanted me to do it, and I really enjoy that.
Teaching in the classroom is tough in the fact that you're trying to set up what is the world out there that they're going to go into. So the field experience is just as important as classroom experience. We can teach them the theoreticals and the systems behind of what the project management is, but then having to execute that on site is way different and actually sometimes more rewarding when you're actually in those problems and have to figure out the solutions. Not only was the project a great learning experience for the students that were involved, we were also able to help the library in creating a structure that will be there for years to come. The amount of work that we put into the barn was more than we had expected at the beginning, but the final outcome and the final product are 10 times better than what we had expected. So we hope that the barn's there for years to come for future future generations to enjoy.
You know, being a videographer and a photographer, you don't always have the opportunity to be a part of something this way. And Tanya and Andrew and the crew from CIM really allowed me to be a part of the team, and that has been a great experience for me.
This was a field school experience much like the Alcatraz Field School, but whereas the field school is a paid internship opportunity for students, this is an all volunteer. So there's a logistical level that is a different animal with a project like this, which took a lot of coordination on the parts of a lot of people. But it turned out great. You know, everything from where do you house students 300 miles from home, how do you feed them, how do you get lumber there and return lumber that you're not using, the dumpsters and the bathroom facilities, and how do you work around horses in an operating equestrian environment. It was all a challenge, and everybody played their part and came through with shining colors.